Here are pages forever needs. I should just get, I would love to get another Sefer. Just out of print for a while. Okay, this morning, Bezrat Hashem, Shavua Tov, this morning we continue learning in the month of Adar Bet, Le'ilui Nishmas, Tanchum ben Chaim, Yosef ben Yitzchak, Asher Anshel ben Shrago Feivel, anonymously in honor of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, anonymously in honor of the Beer's first aliya of the year, anonymously for a month of simcha, joy, healing, and celebration in Eretz Yisrael, and for the Shmira on our Chayalim, in memory of Yitzchak ben Nachman, in memory of Reuven ben Avram, and for the Refuah Shlema of Esther Dania Bat Sarah, Chava Yocheved Hadas Bat Sarah, Now the week is sponsored in honor of, by my in-laws, in honor of two other birthday girls, Rachel Nechama and Ora Menucha, and it's sweet, and by the almonds, by Sharon Almond in memory of Toiba Zelda Bas Zev Chayachana, by Meira in memory of, it's Jack's fourth Yortzeit, my dear brother. I miss him so much. I think about him a lot. We talk about him a lot. This is Jack Goldberg, Yaakov Peretz ben Gershon Meir on his fourth Yortzeit, and by Marilyn and Josh Adler for the safety of all the Chayalim and Shvuim, that they should be released soon, Bezrat Hashem. And today we're learning for the Refuah Shlema of Shira Bat Esther. She should have a successful surgery today. 4-year-old girl? How old is she? 12-year-old girl. 12-year-old girl going for a pretty complex open heart surgery, so should be a lot of tefillas today, and we should hear good news, Bezrat Hashem. Okay, so it'll be like this, not just in this shir, I know, because I know how these things work, but it'll probably be like this in any learning you do this week, that even if the topic is like, I don't know, Hilchot Eruvin. Let's say you have a shir on the halachas of like how to build a proper Eruv, you'll see it's going to connect to Purim. That's how it works with things like this. You'll see it's going to connect to Purim. That's just how it's like in the air. That's just what it's like. Are there enough chairs there? Yeah? Okay. And that's definitely what's going to happen, Bezrat Hashem, in the learning that we're going to be doing today as well. There's some pages left for those that need. In the pages that we have, in the Sefer that you have, it's Daf Kuf Mem in Kumi Ori. Brief recap of where we were last week and where we're going to today. And I can recap it and even briefly just introduce today by asking the following question. How much of Mashiach, of Geula, is a tangible concept in our minds? When we bring this about up to the surface, how much is it still like one day, as opposed to mamash now? And in the drive over here, I was thinking about a very interesting usage of language, which may seem weird, and all editors that have ever received, thank you, that have, in the language of, whenever I send in any type of transcript of Rav Shlomo to an editor that has to publish it, they always make the following change, and I always change it back because I believe there was some very subconscious or conscious diuk in a phrase that he would use. He never said when Mashiach comes, when Mashiach will come. He always said when Mashiach is coming. He always used that phrase, when Mashiach is coming. What's the difference between the two? I think it's a world of a difference.
Maybe lie, and it's a betur. It's going to happen.
And not just that, is active. Yeah, is kid nachon. Is now. Will is Mashiach will come is like, I hope it happens. But we're already, I think, very far in the game where we understand that we're basically in the world of when Mashiach is coming. And you don't have to darshan it out any other way, but this world of when Mashiach is coming. So with that in mind, what we spoke about last week, Rav Sasson brought us to a beautiful place of understandings that when my neshama life is the one that is living much more than my non-neshama kind of life, and that means when my relationships the conversations between people are much more deeper conversations. And when my experience of keeping Torah and mitzvot, my whole experience of also living here in Eretz Yisrael, is much more than just, the Baruch Hashem, the normal pshat of mitzvot Yeshuva Aretz, but that there's so much more of it, I will end up hearing Torah that my neshama has been crying for my whole life. And then when I hear that certain Torah that my neshama has been crying for, it'll be like, much like the pasuk you used from Shir Hashirim last week, Matzati et she'ahava nafshi. I found that which my soul has always loved. It just didn't get the opportunity to find it, to hear it. I once had a friend in Los Angeles. She's a Balas Tshuva. She's an old friend of ours. I'm not going to say her name, just not because it's a nice story, just whatever, out of her coven. Hashem Shetzunder Zivuk Sheni Bezrat Hashem. And she's an old friend of ours from our Chevra. She was on an Israelite course. Israelite, as many of you remember, is Rabbi David Aaron's organization. Israelite used to be today you have the Yeshiva Oraita in the Old City. You know Yeshiva Oraita? That's from the fruits of Rabbi David Aaron. So Israelite used to be a really very much more active, some would call it a kiruv organization, but it was basically many people would come on an Israelite program, spend a few weeks, I think it was a few weeks, throughout Eretz Yisrael, headquarters in the Old City. And they would have, and Rabbi David Aaron, who's one of our favorites, and I can't wait for him to come to the shul, Rabbi David Aaron's way of bringing you the concept called God, mamash, to your front, in a way like nobody else. His farm are amazing, his books are really incredible. One of them, I remember just seeing the title made me feel like so much better. Just reading it, ever read a title of a book and you feel so much better? Love is My Religion. Love is My Religion is one of the names of his books. Anyway, our friend was on one of these Shabbatons. She didn't grow up bichlal connected to anything other than knowing I'm a Jew, like many people are now realizing, okay, I always knew I was a Jew. Now and I didn't really connect it, but I'm being persecuted and hated for something that I don't even really understand what it is. What is this? And then they start discovering. It's like this for a lot of people right now. She said that she was walking her first Shabbos in the Old City. She was walking through the Old City, and a door opened to Kabbalah Shabbos somewhere. She doesn't remember what song it was or whatever. She had never been into a film shul. They opened the door to the shul. This is after spending a week or two of her learning a little bit more about soul Yiddishkeit, soul Torah. And as the doors opened, when she heard the first nigun, she started crying. Thank you so much. She started crying uncontrollably, and a friend of hers that was with her asked her and said, "What happened to you?" She said, "I didn't realize I was homeless until this moment." So he said, "What, now you feel homeless?" She said, "No. Now I feel at home." You hear how deep that is? Meaning, she was accelerating the soul talk of Yiddishkeit. It wasn't seminars learning, necessarily the history of the oral Torah or the disputes between, different worlds of thought. Rabbi David Aaron's world of Torah is soul is neshama de Torah. So when the door opened and she heard a nigun, she started crying, because she never realized that she was homeless until that moment where she actually then felt that she was at home. What Rav Sasson has been teaching us is that when the talk that we have, when the dibur we have between each other, our learning, what ends up happening is that there's a certain moment that your soul has that same experience like our friend had. And then you realize, wow, this was really what I've been looking for the whole time. And that's why when Mashiach, and I'm going to use this phrase a lot today, when Mashiach is coming, you will know Mashiach is coming more and more when you simultaneously are actively coming home at the same time, when you're feeling like you're coming home more and more and more. And what we need to do in our door is to press the button on learning, on looking and learning for the Torah that's going to speak to our neshamas. For thousands of years in Galut, what kept us alive was the Torah of the head, was the Torah of the mind. And in our door, like we have to just say it now, like unapologetically, it's not Khalila saying the Torah of the mind isn't important. The Torah of the mind will always, always be the basis upon which the Torah of the heart and the soul resides. Like, just to make it clear, without the Torah of the mind, which means the Torah of what I can do, what I can't do, without that, there's no way for you to get to the place where the soul, the Torah of the soul. Like some people love to hear these Torahs and they're like, I finally feel free from all this halacha stuff. Now I don't have to, it's all soul. The soul resides on top of that place. So we need, the only thing is, at what point do we get stuck and be like, okay, I'm really feeling successful and strong enough just with the Torah of the mind. Now it's the Torah of the soul. Okay, so now go down to the bottom of page Kuf Mem, please. No. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try to stick to the right time today. Bezrat Hashem. Yediat atzmeinu derech yediat haTorah. Okay, we can give a whole tangent just on this. How does a person know that they know themselves? How could a Jew say they know themselves? Right? So in the world, when you ask someone, how do you know yourself? How do you know who you are? What are some of the answers you will hear? How do I know? How does one know themselves? What could be really like, reasonable answers to that question?
The profession.
My profession, Mr. Merit, I'm doing what I feel I was born to do. Yeah? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
What are my desires, values, standards?
My values, yefeh, ma'od.
According to your deeds.
Sorry?
According to your deeds.
What do you mean?
All the deeds, what you do, like you define yourself by what you keep yourself busy with.
Okay, my occupation, yeah. So it's a little bit more
Or deeds rather than your...
ma'asim, actions. Okay, yeah, thanks for explaining. What else? When you ask someone, how do you know yourself? How do you know that you know yourself? Anything else? There's no wrong answers here. It's not a trick question.
Everyone's saying when you're in a situation and you are the minority or even the single person,
Yeah.
and you stand your ground because you know that what they're doing is wrong and you know the right kibun direction to go.
So who said ethics before? Someone said ethics before?
The values. So
Values, right.
You know your values with standing up in front of everybody
Right.
and saying, I'm sticking to what I believe,
Nachon.
my values.
Now here's the trickiest statement in the world. Because he just said, Yediat atzmeinu derech yediat Torah. That the only way we know ourselves is through our knowledge of Torah. Now there's going to be a kashya on this statement, on this thing. How many people do we know that are mamish so steeped into Torah, and you say to yourself, I really don't want to be like them? Like if a person's led to knowing themselves, like living a life like that, I'm good with India. I'm good with I don't know if People magazine is still around. I'm good with just reading cover to cover and just choosing nice moments through a magazine to know myself better, This is like we always say, like the Rebbeinu Shalom has the worst PR in the world. The Torah has the worst PR in the world. The Torah, which is supposed to be this like just light, emes, truth, magnetic truth, all-encompassing truth. Here, we have this statement that sometimes maybe it's just for me. It's very hard to just say, really, is that the only way? Derech yediat atzmeinu, derech yediat Torah, that we know ourselves only through knowing Torah. And the answer, I'm sorry, is yes. Gotta be so careful. The answer is yes. But the shaila is, what Torah are we talking about? It is so amazing that you can learn Shmiras Halashon. You can learn Chafetz Chaim's Shmiras Halashon, Hilchos Lashon Hara. You can learn the whole Sefer inside out. And you know what you can come to after learning Hilchos Lashon Hara inside out? when I can say Lashon Hara, because there are two specific moments where it's more or less clear that there's a heter to say Lashon Hara. So I could say, listen, I learned Torah Gewalt, I learned it so much, and now I actually know, in the name of Emes, when I can say Lashon Hara, right? Someone calls me for a shidduch, right? All week long I'm being so frum, it's so hard, I'm like such on shpilkas, and someone calls me for a shidduch, and I get so excited, because now I know this is one of the moments that I could actually say Lashon Hara. Right? There's another one, like, when someone calls you about a business deal. Someone calls, happens in Torah Abanim all the time. They get a call, listen, I'm about to go into a business deal with a certain someone. Is that, I just need to know. And you just you have more simcha than on Simchas Torah, because now you know it's even holy to rip this person into shreds. B'Shem Torah. That's not the kind of Torah we're talking about, right? So there's a beautiful Torah in Sefer Dvarim. Sefer Dvarim, the whole book of Dvarim, everybody knows, is Mishnah Torah. That means there's a repetition of the Torah. Nachon? Moshe Rabbeinu is giving over the whole Torah again. What's the difference between the way that he's saying it in Dvarim and the way that he's saying it through Arba'at Torah? A lot. But the way Moshe Rabbeinu was giving, and everyone knows that it's a shtickle rebuke. It's like Tochecha, the way that he's saying over the Torah again, Sefer Dvarim. Baalei Musar would always say, if you want to have some good Musar in your life, learn Sefer Dvarim. I forget which someone was, Reb Tzadok says this. I think one of the Baalei Musar was very big on saying this as well. Learn Sefer Dvarim over and over again. The way that Moshe Rabbeinu gives over rebuke in Sefer Dvarim is it's not ripping them. He's saying it in a way that they can hear. But what was on the pnimius level, how did he give over the Mishnah Torah? Why does he have to give over the Torah to them again if they already got it? So the Baalei Kabbalah, the Megala Amukos, he has a great Torah on this. He says that the word Eile Advarim, Asher Diber Hashem, Eile is Rashi Tevot, Avak Lashon Hara. Avak Lashon Hara, which means, how would you say Avak Lashon Hara? Yeah, but what does it mean, like Ki'ilu in a pnim? Avak, it's the shadows, it's like the wind, the residue of Lashon Hara, meaning, you learned the whole Torah. But the way you learned the whole Torah was that you still felt that there's makom to have avak Lashon Hara on those that don't keep the Torah. That means I have to give you the whole Torah over again. Because if that's what you're taking from learning Torah, I gotta give you the whole Torah all over again from the beginning. That's how Sefer Dvarim begins. So what kind of Torah, again, when we go to the topic here, Yediat Atzmeinu Derech Yediat Torah means knowing ourselves through knowing the Torah. The question is, what kind of Torah do I want to learn? What type of Torah am I seeking out in order to know myself? Can you imagine if a person knows themselves based on all the times that they know when it's mutar to rip into someone, al pi halacha? What a shallow existence. What a horrible existence. No one wants that. So we're going to see we're going to understand, hopefully a little bit deeper, what this means, knowing myself through knowing the Torah. Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know why, but it's like that the more Torah I'm learning, the more I don't know myself.
The more you don't know yourself, or the more you don't know?
Both. Because I internalize the information and it awakens another aspect of even the soul or my own self that I didn't realize, and then it's like another level, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And the more and more I'm learning, the more I realize I don't know myself.
I'm not going to tell you who you are, but I think it's the opposite, what you just said. If the more that you're learning, you realize the more you don't know yourself, that's already halfway to knowing yourself.
That first is the question, right? It's like that you realize, like when someone's an alcoholic and they admit they're an alcoholic, they're one step closer.
The same thing, yes. Yes. We have this fear of saying that. Now, you're a balas tshuva, so it's like, you know what it's like for Frum Yidden to do this? Honestly, you have it so much better than many of us. Because we're under the assumption that we actually know ourselves.
Right.
So, Bemet, it's like you're actually much, you understand what I'm saying? Okay, let's start learning inside how Rav Sasson brings this down. לאור כל מה שראינו נוכל להבין שהגיעה השעה בה אנו נדרשים להאיר בכל עוז את אור התורה בעם ישראל. It's clear. Since Mashiach is coming and we're the door of Geulah, time has come that we're demanded to illuminate with all our strength the light of Torah in Am Yisrael. ובייחוד את כל מרחבי הקודש המבארים לעם ישראל את מהותם וזהותם הקדושה. And what do we have to really zone in on? All of the merchavim of Kodesh. Merchav, how do we say merchav in English? Yeah, but the merchav is like like the widening of space, like rechav, like the widening of space of holiness, which explain to Am Yisrael what their essence is and what their holy identity is. That means taking the concept Kedusha and graduating from Kita Aleph, because in Kita Aleph, who's considered Kadosh? In first grade, who's considered holy? Who would you put in the category of holy? A Tzaddik, Gamur, Aaron HaKohen, Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, you grew up a little bit more. Now, it doesn't mean they're not. They remain, maybe they could be the holiest. But the borders of what holy and unholy means are much, much, much bigger. Let me ask, like, for instance, when you speak to a child and you look into their eyes, and you could be talking about breakfast, but the way you're talking about breakfast with them gives the space for them to feel they have a place in this world. Kodesh or not Kodesh? No, Kodesh Kodashim. But you have to acknowledge and be aware of these things. This is a moment Hashem placed an neshama within you that you're treating with utmost awe, respect, and love. Put a stamp of Kedusha on that. Call it out for what it is. That's Kedusha. And you could do this with everything in the world. Now, when you do that here in Eretz Yisrael, it's something completely different. I'm just harping on this again because it's just this man right now. When you have Yidden that are coming to build your homes in Eretz Yisrael, is that a good deal, right? As opposed to like a worse deal? Or is that a moment of Kedusha happening in Eretz Yisrael? It's a moment of Kedusha happening in Eretz Yisrael. Kedusha does not just mean the person that's sitting and learning all day long. But we're not belittling that either. That is a tremendous milah. But let's face it, most of us are not there. Most of us aren't there. You have to just basically stretch out the concept called Kedusha in order for our identity to be able to identify with Kadosh, with Kedusha. It happens usually subconsciously. One of my greatest examples is Bina and I once went to see our favorite singer play Alav Shalom, Meir Banai. He passed away, I don't know, how old's Gilad? 8 years ago? Mashiach Kazan. I just remember because his bris was the day that Meir died. 7, yeah? Right, so 7 years ago. And we went to see him in a club in Herzliya, in the Zappa in Herzliya. We were sitting in the back, more in the back. And Meir Banai is a Baal Tshuva, a real emesdik Baal Tshuva, someone that really fell in love with the Torah. And in fact, in one of his questions on his deathbed was he asked his sister if she thinks they still give shir in the next world. That's what he was thinking about on his deathbed. And he was a person that was connected to Nishmas Am Yisrael because he was very much part of the Ruach HaEretz Yisraeli in the 80s and 90s, and then he did Tshuva in the early 2000s. He took a break for a while, and then he came back with the most gorgeous album of piyutim, of tefillahs. Shma Koli, the album is called. One of the songs on the album is called Lecha Eli Chukati. That's a piyut that Sfardim say on Yom Kippur. It's like one of the only things I'm debating, do we make a real big stink here and convert it into Ashkenaz Nusach, not converted, but integrated into our Ashkenaz Nusach of the Yom Tovim, because the words are everything. And it's a very deep song. You should listen to it if you haven't heard it yet. Anyone hear it? Lecha Eli Chukati? Gorgeous. Huh? Yishai is a different tune. I love Yishai. This is like, and Yishai loves this song, because Yishai sings it a lot as well. He would give me the heter to say this. So, Lecha Eli Chukati, Bechach Eshki Ve'ahavati. Amazing, amazing words. Meir singing it in the club. I'm probably the only keeper in there. And Chevra are swaying and they're singing and it's amazing. And the song's over. And Meir turns to the crowd and he says, Tagidu, איך היה? He says, מה? איך היה להתפלל? איך היה להתפלל? And he wasn't, by the way, he was not one of these machzir b'tshuvas. He didn't go around and tell people to, one of these people that got the enlightenment. But he turned around to the crowd after they were singing a song, so to speak, a beautiful song. And he said, what was it like to daven? They didn't even realize they were davening. That's not Kaddish. I don't even think it was was it a kosher? I don't think that place is even kosher. Was Palel. That means that we're making the borders of Kedusha so much wider. In order for us to get our identity back. He did in that moment, he basically did the whole thing of opening up borders for people to say, I'm Shayach. I'm Shayach to Kedusha. Wow. I'm Shayach to, instead of hearing from people, you gotta do this, this, and this to be Shayach to Kedusha. Sometimes, and Rav Kook said this would happen through those that are working in the world of art, in literature. He said they're really the ones that are gonna find a way for people to come in and say, wow, I have Shayachut to Kedusha. I'm Shayach to holiness. And when a person feels that they are Shayach to Kedusha, they start hearing the Torah of their neshama. In that moment, it's a moment called when Mashiach is coming. Understand? Back inside. Third line. Inyan ze mevu'ar basfarim hakadoshim. It's brought down in the holy books. Shegeulat Yisrael tluya behofa'at ha'or shel pnimius haTorah. The Sfarim all say that the redemption of Am Yisrael is dependent on the appearance of light that's coming from pnimius haTorah, which is a concept you've heard, you've definitely heard me say 1,000,000 times, but you're even discussing amongst yourself, pnimius haTorah. What's the difference between pnimius haTorah and chitzonius haTorah? So we're talking about the Torah of the neshama. We're talking about Torah that I don't walk out of a shir saying, oh, now I understand how that thing works, and I see that you add this up, and now we understand their shita. That's all emet, la'ad, but it's not the Torah of when Mashiach is coming. You understand? It's not the Torah of when Mashiach is coming. שהיא למעשה אותה התורה המבארת לעם ישראל מה הוא מבקש. פנימיוס התורה is the Torah that explains to Am Yisrael what you're actually looking for, what you're asking for. ומהי זהותו האמיתית והשורשית, and what is your rooted and real identity, what your identity truly is. ובאמת מבואר בספרים, the Torah tells, the Sfarim HaKadoshim tell us, שזוהי הערת Mashiach ben David. This is a spark of Mashiach ben David's Torah. הנוגעת בהופעת הנשמה ובניין הקודש, which touches upon the appearance of the soul and the building of holiness, הבאה לאחר משיח ben Yosef, הנוגע בבניין הגופני של האומה, which comes after the appearance of Mashiach ben Yosef, which is more connected to the physical building of the nation. Okay, so in a nutshell, let's just say this outside. Have any of you heard of the two concepts of Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David? Have any of you ever understood what that means? Much less. I know. It's one of these things that's like, oh, I know there's a concept, but what does that exactly mean? And this is all in the Sfarim HaPnimim. You're not going to open the Shulchan Aruch and see this written anywhere. What are the appearance of Mashiach ben Yosef and the appearance of Mashiach ben David? The way that we're just going to say it based on this is like this. In order for Mashiach to fully be coming, Lashon, active, present, first Mashiach ben Yosef comes onto the scene and does what he does. What he does, I'm not going to get into right now. Then Mashiach ben David appears, and when that happens, there's a full revelation of light and the whole shebang, everything we've been longing for and hopefully bringing in already. He says over here that Mashiach ben David is very much kashur to the first koma of Geula we've been learning for this last year. What's the first koma of the Geula? Binyana gufani shel ha'uma. Meaning, some people were confused because they said Mashiach came because of Zionism. Because there's a binyan gufani shel ha'uma. That means a physical resurrection and the return on a physical level of the people. And that's true. That is a Mashiach a movement. That's the first. That's Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben David is something else. Now let's just go into this a little bit more deeper so we hope we understand this. What's the difference between Yosef and Yehuda? Which is, David comes from Yehuda. Who's Yosef in comparison to Yehuda? Tzaddik and a Baal Tshuva. Exactly. Yosef, what do we call him? Yosef HaTzadik. Did Yosef ever do anything wrong al pi pshat of the Torah? Not really. Even when he's in like these crazy temptation where he could have got out of jail immediately, and the wife of Potiphar says, just come be with me one time, and she came to him every day, repeatedly, for a long time, and said, just one time be with me. He even that, Vayanas vayetze achutza, he's a tzaddik. So he's strong enough to build a physical structure of the Am, saying, I have the koach, right? I'm strong, I don't fall into mistakes. I get out of them. Mashiach ben David, which is Yehuda, is the exact opposite. Yehuda is the one, I fell for every guru that ever showed me something nice, right? I fell for everything in the world thinking that it was holy, but really I didn't realize it was really my taivas, it was my mistakes. And yet, what ends up happening with Yehuda? Vayigash Elav Yehuda, he comes forth and says, but it must mean that ein yeush ba'olam klal. There's no despair at all in the world, no matter what. You come to the realization of ein yeush ba'olam klal through your neshama, not through your physical traits. You come to the real belief that I will never give up. There's no despair in my life, no matter what. No matter how many buildings I've built that have then been destroyed, you only come to them through the soul. But first you have to realize you're capable of being a builder. That's Mashiach ben Yosef. But we see, we've built, and things have gotten destroyed. We've come to Eretz Yisrael, built a beautiful world, built beautiful kibbutzim, and many things can get infiltrated in one day and have a total churban. So Yosef will look back at himself and say, I know I'm strong, but I need something more to believe that I could rebuild this. It doesn't matter how strong I am. I could build bigger buildings, better kibbutzim, and for many years, that's how we were living here. I'll build, you know that the roads we're driving on in Eretz Yisrael today don't look at all like the roads that, at least I grew up on. And definitely many of you grew up on. Were you living here when you when you were still driving through Beit Lechem to get here?
Yes. I got it stolen from the nation.
And now look, with all the gewaltige, Marilyn, you were here, right? Yeah. So with all the different, what we call betonadot, which means those stone, what's that? What's it called? Yeah, the barriers, with all these things, we built it, and we're seeing, like, we would think that's gonna bring us the Geulah. That's not when Mashiach is coming. That was good for 75 years. Now the question is, how much is the soul the one that's building the real barriers? You understand? So he's saying over here, again, Zohi ha'arat Mashiach ben David hanogat be'ofat ha'neshama u'binyan ha'kodesh haba le'achar Mashiach ben Yosef. This comes after Mashiach ben Yosef, which his thing was hanoga be'binyan ha'gufani shel ha'umah. His thing was, after Auschwitz, we come back here and we build, and we don't have time to think. But we're builders. We're not going to do it wrong. We're going to build right. Okay. Who had it? Did you have a hand up?
I did. I'm confused. I'm not sure if you said this is right. You said the second one is connected to the first level of Gula?
The first one.
Yosef.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, thanks for pointing it out. The first one is connected to that. Again, we're not here to dismiss what's happened. And anyone that dismisses what happens, then Bemet, go to Monroe or somewhere there and wait. We're not dismissing it, but we've got to wake up and realize that what was Zeu. What's that? Where else? Here, right. Sorry? Right. No, I'm talking about mifchina toda'atit. At least in other places in Chutz La'aretz, there's ki'ilu as...
That's exactly my point.
Wow, Ilana, you're more charif than me today. What's going on with you? What's going on with you? Nachon. It's a meaning to say like this. I'll try to just bring this forth. Meaning that for 75 years, even my belief in the binyan of the ummah, of me supporting it from far, may have been enough. But after Simchas Torah, we have to realize that even that's not enough from far. With all the money and all the good kavanas and everything, even that's not enough. There was a very big article published right before Shabbos from a big Rav in Chutz La'aretz, who was a friend of mine, that was touching upon this and going, like we say in Hebrew, poschim al shnei ha'seifim, where it's going in and out of saying it's enough versus it's not enough. And we just have to like yank it from the bottom of the cheve, zeo. It's just not enough. It is time to come home. But like I was telling the men here on Thursday, Friday, but we better be very achrai, we better be very responsible as to what type of home we're building to tell them to come home to. You want to tell them to come home, and baya, it's the right thing to do. But what's more of an achrayus than telling someone to come home? Building the home. What's the home? Is it Mashiach ben Yosef or is it Mashiach ben David? Now, this goes into what we're saying over here. What type of Torah is going to be learned and taught in that home? Mashiach ben Yosef or Mashiach ben David? The type of Torah that we're speaking about that needs to be learned in that home is the one of the calling of the neshama of this door. The Torah of the neshama, the Torah of soul. The Torah that the soul, you walk out of a shir and you say, my soul has found what it's been looking for. It's the Torah of my friend walking by a shul and the door opening, hearing a nigun and crying her eyes out saying, I didn't realize I was homeless until this moment. That's the Torah that's being built in the interior of the bayit of Mashiach ben David. Yeah.
It's spoken about like to capture the sparks of light around, right? Is it levels of light? Meaning like building of time is meant like more that you capture those sparks of light. It's almost like you're building towards it, or is it just like until you capture, like even when you talk about breakfast and you create that spark of light in that moment, is that like just as high as capturing another spark of light, or is that like even part of what we're talking about at all?
I don't know, but I don't think you need to know in order to do this type of work. I don't know.
Right.
I hear your question, but I don't know the answer. But I also don't think that it's, in Hebrew you say there's no nafka mina, meaning, that's actually not Hebrew, that's Aramaic. And it meaning like there's no, how do you say that? There's no, sorry? Right, there's no practical distinction in terms of how we're learning it. Okay? All right, let's, anything else before we move on? We're good? Okay, let's go forward. This is a beautiful paragraph. Am Yisrael mechapes et zeuto v'et atzmiuto. Am Yisrael is looking for its identity and its etzem, its essence. Et oshro v'chofshiuto, its happiness and its true freedom. Ach lo nuchal le'agia l'chol elu ela al yidei Torah. But again, we're not going to find it unless we find it through what our soul's looking for in the Torah. Uchdei להבין זאת, יש לגעת בקצרה רבה בהבנת מהותה של התורה. So in order to understand this, we have to address the thing of what is the essence of Torah? What's the role of Torah in my life? למעשה יש לדעת ששיעור הקומה של האדם הוא הרבה מעבר למה שהאדם תופס ומשיג את עצמו, מה שהוא רואה במראה וחווה בחוויות הנפשיות. First, we have to come to a conclusion, or to a very important internalization. Okay, I want everyone to close their eyes for a second, and I want you to hear the following thing in your own voice, but I'm not going to make you all do this in your own voice, because it's not shy for now. But here, I'm going to say, right now, in your own language, okay? I'm much more than whatever I think I am. I'm much, much more than whatever I think I am. Not gaivadik away. My essence, who I am, what I long for, the dreams that are waiting for me are much bigger than anything I currently believe them to be. I'm bigger than my feelings. I'm greater than my experiences. Those are just moments, but I'm bigger than all that. Okay? I'm bigger than all that. Now look back inside. האדם כולל בקרבו אוצרות מופלאים ורחבים מאוד. So we have, I included within me, a tremendously large treasure chest, wide treasure chests, which is the nefesh, ruach, neshama, all these aspects of soul. שהן המרחבים העמוקים הטמונים בהוויית האדם. Those are those moments where I feel something very deeply. That's where it's coming from. But he says over here like this, כשם שהאדם מוכרח לחיות חיי נפש, just like a person has to have a life of a soulful life, which means חברים במשפחה, friends and family, ואינו יכול להסתפק רק בצורכי הגוף החומרי. It's not enough for me to just have my essential physical needs. כן האדם מוכרח לחיות ולבטא את המרחבים העמוקים שבקרבו, את רוחו ונשמתו. I must be able to live and to express the deep longings that are within me, my ruach and my neshama. האדם הוא שלם ומי שהוציא לפועל את כלל האוצרות הטמונים בעצמיותו. That's the last line, very important. Who's considered a complete person? A person who's been able to implement all of, well, when he says here, להוציא לפועל is not really implement. It means to take from inside and bring it out forth. All of the tremendous treasures that are in my essence. How many people could say, I have actually, in American, it's because of this, for me, it's because of a commercial that I didn't understand this deep concept for many years. Do you remember the commercial about the army, about joining the army? Do you remember the logo, the slogan? The American Army. Be all that you can be. Right. Now, why is that wrong based on what he just said over here? That that's not really what we're here for? Because be all that you can be is based on and what I think right now I'm capable of being. So in Chassidus it says that the world, the way the non-Jewish world reaches its potential is that they're all that they can be. A Yid, this is based on the difference between Noach and Avram, a Yid's whole thing is be much more than what you think you could be. In order to know what that even means, I have to learn what that language is like. Be more than what I think I could be. Who gives me, who sustains me, who gives me that language, who gives me that kivun of understanding what it means to be more than what we could be? Pnimiyus HaTorah, secrets of the Torah. That the secrets of Torah, the deeper layers of Torah, are the things that are mamash sovev, they're wrapping me around all day and all night. The inner dimension of the Torah. Yeah.
You learn Torah, it brings you joy, and when you walk around the world with more joy because of that Torah that you learned.
Like,
It'd be as simple as that.
I feel like you're not tricking me, but I feel like it's a trick question.
And for example, I listened to your Thursday shir. I catch up on shirs while I cook. And it gave me so much shleimut, like for Friday night davening. It was a different davening. And I was able to bring that Torah that I learned, which changed me, and to bring it in to Friday night davening. So like, could it be that simple?
Okay, so I'll answer you. Now I understand. But there's a way of answering you which will sound so haughty, which I'm prefacing by saying that's not the point. But I could say, of course, if it's my Torah, that is the Torah that makes me happy. But it's not my Torah. Whose Torah wasn't? That was a tzaddik. That was a tzaddik.
It was Peterman.
No, oh, so you listened to Friday's shir.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, Friday was Rav Biederman. Thursday was Rav Kluger. Right, so Friday, nachon. So it's not, obviously, these are not my Torahs. I'm just hopefully trying to...
I know, but I'm just saying that I'm learning Torah. It's changing who you are.
Right.
And then you're bringing that into the world. The way you interact with the world doesn't have to be so calculated. Like, it just is.
100%. But now now let's give a better description of what you experienced. When you say I had more joy, your soul said, the pasuk from Shir Hashirim, Matzati et she'ava nafshi. I found which my soul loves, and therefore I'm besimcha. That's why you're in joy.
Right.
Then of course. Betach. No?
Yeah, you feel more connected to your true
And that's
self.
basically
your-
what it's
Yes,
saying.
yes.
That was like chocolate. That's what it's
Right, so, but I have to explain to you that for many people in the world, that shir is not considered learning Torah, unfortunately.
It's connecting to Shabbos.
Oh, I know, you don't have to sell me on that it's learning Torah, I know. Does anyone understand what I just said?
Unless it's tachlis, unless it's.
So you're
Torah,
preaching to the
usually
choir.
It's not.
No,
But
no,
also,
unless
my
it's
question is
Gemara.
how to take that dot and actually continue with it. Because I go Wednesday this year, and it's phenomenal. And Shabbos, but then Tuesday comes around. And I'm back to normal. So the question is how to connect
You
those
learn
dots.
Torah every day. Like I read the Key to the Locked Garden.
Unless you're actually learning the right hand
So-
Torah all day, every day. And every time you change it, you
No, here you go again, no, I'm stopping you. Lo.
You're wearing the sunglasses.
No, but you have to have enough, it's not, none of us are sitting, as far as I know, I'm looking around, none of us are sitting and learning Reb Nachman, or the Ishbitzer, or Rav Kluger, or Rav Biederman, almost everyone, maybe all day, every day, right? None of us are, none of us. But what is it, what am I getting when I am learning it? I'm getting the moments that my neshama feels sustained. That fills me much more than what my mind needs in order to feel sustained. So on a soulful level, when I get sustained in my neshama, it's longer than just, it's not time bound. With intellectual satiation, that means sova, intellectually, I have to keep on feeding it in order to feel some type of lezeh. Yeah, Malka.
I just wanted to build on what you were saying with the idea of simcha. We know that the Nevi'im couldn't have any nevuah without the simcha. So it's like when you talk about being more than you can be, when you get to the place where your soul is like buzzing like that, then you literally can be more than you can be because Hashem literally gives you more siyata d'shmaya, more opportunities. He intervenes more. So you literally, without
even,
you can be more than what you thought you could be.
And this is a very important nikudah, that the key word that you said over here for me is without force. These things don't happen forcefully. It's not like I will feed my neshama no matter what. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's something bigger, nachon, without force. And simcha, the prophets, like Malka said, prophets, the Nevi'im, would only, the way that it's brought down in Midrashei Chazal, is that they had a whole orchestra around them before they started prophesying. They would walk down the street, they had the greatest band, and then the music would begin, and then the nevuah. Now what's nevuah? Being more than what we could be. But there had to be some kind of a pe'ulah, an action to create the atmosphere to go to that place of more, but not forceful, flowing. כמו שצריך, בשמחה. That's why it's so, and I feel like the last thing he said over here was so perfect for, we're going to pause here. האדם השלם הוא מי שהוציא אל הפועל את כלל האוצרות הטמונים בעצמיותו. The complete person is someone who has, I'm still looking for the right language for הוציא אל הפועל, who has brought into fruition, who has taken, actualized, thank you, who has taken from potential to actual all the hidden treasures that are within them. Now, sometimes we look at Am Yisrael and we're like, wow, look what we've done in the world. Look what we've done in the world. Such a fragile people that we're almost legamre toast, no pun intended, right? To what? To look at this. Look, if you just look outside for a second, we're sitting in the class and we don't see anything. Here it's like a gewalt. You like look outside and you're like, this is pashut lo yuman. It's just not to be believed. It's just not to be believed. And yet, Pnimiyus Torah is saying, that's all Mashiach ben David. That's all Mashiach ben David. Sorry. That's all, thank you for correcting, that's all Mashiach ben Yosef. That's all Mashiach ben Yosef. That's still not, that's why we don't feel shlemus. None of us here feel shlemus. It's like we should feel so shalem. And yet we're not. We feel so lacking something. Why? Because this is the onah, this is the season, this is the time, this is the generation of neshama, of the soul. That's what this era is for. This is what it is. And the more we'll try to deny it or give excuses why I'm just not there yet, the more you'll feel lacking. Now I just want to say something. The more you taste from your neshama, it doesn't mean the more satisfied you are. You actually get hungrier. But it's the type of hungry that you like. It's not the type of hunger that makes you feel oy nebuch. It's the type of hunger that makes you feel, I can't wait to have more of this. Whereas with Mashiach ben, I get so confused. With Mashiach ben Yosef, I did my thing. I built. It's not enough. It's not enough. So this is finding our zehut, finding our identity, and finding who we are, and going, even being more than who we are, is the learning of Geula, is the learning of when Mashiach is coming. That's what it is, when Mashiach is coming. And that is actively happening right now. Now, Rav Sasson told us already, don't think that you reader or you learners are the greatest chiddush in the world. It's already happening. It's already happening. And it's happening more and more. And the headquarters of it happening is here. So lately I've been feeling so strong about telling Monroe and all the chevra that fall under Monroe to let them know, you should know, there are people in Eretz Yisrael that are committed to building the type of Beis HaMikdash, the type of Eretz Yisrael that your soul has been longing for, not just selling you on the fact that we have IKEA. I've been having a lot of schmoozes with your father-in-law for years already, you know? And by the way, your grandfather-in-law is the sweetest in the world. Her father-in-law is Rabbi Fass from Nefesh B'Nefesh. Sorry, I just spilled the beans, but anyway. And he's one of my, not just greatest friends, one of my greatest teachers in this world. For many years we're friends. Mamash, a yid whose chuyot, many of you are fruits of, no? How many of you made aliyah through Nefesh B'Nefesh in this room? It's nuts. So we're a month, whatever, not to embarrass you too much. Once every few years I could say it. But he told me, he said to me, what's the name of the organization? Okay, on the level of soul, what's that? So what level is that? It's the first. Nefesh B'Nefesh, right? What's after? Huh?
He could only do the Mashiach like the
He told, but he says to us, now you have to now take it and make it either ruach beruach, neshama beneshama. I mean, yechidish beyechidish that's too insane to say, but whatever he says, that is the next shlav, and that's why we are, Baruch Hashem, teaming up with Nefesh B'Nefesh now. We were going to start right after Simchas Torah. Hashem had other plans, but we have a lot of different activities that now we're teaming up with Nefesh B'Nefesh to take it now to that place of how we speak about Eretz Yisrael in a language that so many beautiful neshamas that are longing to come home. It's on us to speak about what that sounds like and what that looks like. And that is a march towards our real zehut, our real identity. Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, Thursday, next Sunday's Purim is no shiur, no formal shiur. But I will say that, our family, because we're not at home right now because of Shipputzim, we're having our Seudah here, and in previous years, we opened the doors about 4 o'clock, and then the whole Kehila, and somehow everyone's extended, all their cousins also, which is just, it's great. But we'll be doing it in here, and then starting from 4, it'll be open for everyone in this room. That's next Sunday. Motzei Shabbos is our Tish, our Purim Tish, which I don't know if it's here or downstairs.
I think it's up here.
Yeah, I hope it's up here.
Yeah, it's too squishy.
I hope it, yeah. It was too small. It's Gewalt Fire. That's Motzei Shabbos after Megillah. Very strong, like the way it was in Shalashudis a few weeks ago. Very, very strong. Thursday is Tanis Esther. We're going to be doing this very, very special piece of learning L'chvot Tanit Esther this Thursday. So with this sefer, we'll go back in 2 weeks, Bezrat Hashem. All right? Shavua Tov.